Okay, so now let's go ahead and play around with some of the permissions. Um, so as I said, these options here, the NTFS permissions are actually grayed out, and we can't make any changes. Why? Because by default, the folder is inheriting. This finance folder is a subfolder of data here. So data is the main folder, and finance is just a subfolder under data. So finance by default is inheriting the permissions from the parent folder, which is data. So in order to make these changes, if we want to say, for example, remove the read and write, let's say, for example, this users is just a broad group of where all users belong to. All users mean every single user in our network. So we may want to make some adjustments to this by securing this folder, and we don't want these users, like all users, to have access to this folder. So the first thing that we need to do is to remove it. Okay. Now you can see that because it's grayed out, we can't remove it. So what we need to do is to go into the Advanced tab here and disable the inheritance by just clicking on this disable inheritance button that you have at the bottom here. You click disable inheritance, and now it's going to ask you, okay, if you want to remove all inheritable permissions from this object, or you want to convert the inherited permissions into explicit permissions on this object. So it's always a good idea to just convert it, because removing it will remove all permissions from all other groups and users that you see there. So normally it's it's a much better idea, or makes life easier to just convert the inheritable, choose the option to convert. So when you convert it now, you will see that administrator is still there, system is still there, owner is still there. So the one that we want to remove is the users, because users is more like a general group. And because this is your finance folder, you want to make it a secure. You only want people in your finance department to have access to this folder. So now you see that it's no longer grayed out, so we can make the adjustment now by clicking on edit, and then we can click on users, and then we can uncheck these options here. Or what we can do, if we want just list, we just want to, we don't really care if our users can just list the folder contents. List folder contents is the very basic type of permissions that you can give. They can't really do anything. They can't even open anything. They can just someone with a group or a user account with only list folder contents can do exactly that. They can only list the names of the folders and subfolders within this share, or within that's on their finance. It doesn't mean they can open and read anything or write anything to it. So that's the base permission, and you can assign that permission only. How about if we want to assign the write permission? If we click on write permission, you will have to enable also the list folder contents and the read as well, because a user will not be able to write if they cannot list and they cannot read. So let's say, for example, we want to just enable the write permission and click on apply. Let's see what the system will do. So edit that. So the users here, if you just give the write permission, it means that they will be denied access. They will not be, because they cannot list the contents, they cannot read the file, they will not be able to write. Okay, so that write access will actually be denied. So I want to remove this this user here. I want to remove the users group. I'm just going to click on remove and click on apply. Okay, and okay. So now that we see, when we go back to the properties, to the NTFS permissions, that user, the users groups is no longer there. That has been removed. So I don't know if I actually have a finance group set up in my Active Directory. Let's go and have a look, and then I can create one if it's not there. So it's not there, so I'm gonna go ahead and set up a group, and I'll create that group and call it finance. So if you just gonna click on the group icon there, and I'm going to call this finance. finance. I'll leave it as a global group and a security group and click on OK. Now, it's important that we actually make this group a security group, because if it's a distribution group, we will not be able to use a distribution group to assign any NTFS permissions to, right? So we leave it as security, click on OK, and now we have our finance group. Going back to our NTFS permissions, now we can go ahead and add the finance group to assign our permissions. So I'll just type the name in there and just click on check name, and you'll see that that it's underlined. If the group does not exist and you try to put the name in there, it will come back telling you that the group doesn't exist. So I'll click on OK. And now when I click on finance, it just automatically assign a couple of NTFS permissions. So it automatically assigns 3 permissions for us, which is read and execute, list, and read. So what this will do is it will give these users the ability to list the folder contents. It will enable them to open files and read, and also execute to run executable files, and it will also give them the access to read the contents of files and folders. But it will not give them the right permissions, or they will be able to open files and view the contents, but they will not be able to make changes. Now, because we want to give all our finance users the access to write, we're just going to add that write access, and we'll also give them the modify access, meaning that they can go ahead and create subfolders and delete subfolders, no problem. So go ahead and click on apply, and then click on OK to that. And now our any user that we add in this finance group will automatically receive all these permissions. Okay, it will automatically be given to them. So if you have a like all the users in your finance department, you'll want to add them to this group. So if a user leaves, maybe they no longer work in finance, they move from finance maybe to another group, another department called accounting, all you need to do to remove the access or remove those NTFS permissions for that user that has moved from one department to another, you remove them from the group, you remove them from finance, and just add them perhaps to your accounting group. So let's go ahead and click on OK to that. And we'll go back to Active Directory and set up a couple of user accounts, and then we'll add them to this group, to finance, and then we will make some modifications or changes to this to the finance, and then we'll have a look and at something called effective permissions. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create a couple of users and groups and assign these users to groups, and we'll make some more modifications and look at the permissions in a more fine-tuned way, or the effective permissions.